Hello everybody, Buddy with Midland, Texas. I got a crazy video for you today. It's full of information, full of facts, and I'm just going to jump right in, probably separate it into two videos because it's going to be a little long. And I'm going to start, it's on my Facebook here, called it Foot Full of Pellets. I had been reporting repeated burglaries to the police prior to being shot by somebody under my home with my phone lines cut and burglar alarms going off in the attic. I'm the first to admit that's a crazy story, and thankfully I have all this evidence backing it up. There can be no doubt. I would later find proof of many other homeowners reporting people in the attic, and I was told that the previous owner of my home, Mike Lawhon, was telling his friends about somebody breaking in this home before he died. I believe they murdered him and then took him to Fort Worth to cover it up. This was the week before the 2008 oil show parties were going to start in the underground home in the backyard, which is obviously significant. Multiple people are now documented as saying that tunnels and underground homes are here with many details, and that includes Joe Lozano, who I secretly recorded telling me that the underground homes were the hideout for the late Sheriff Gary Painter. He was running for Midland Sheriff at the time. And supporting evidence was found on old Google Maps showing that one of the 4 secret 3-bedroom underground homes said to be here is located in my backyard. They're said to be put in for the Bushes back in the 80s with a cost on budget of $7.35 million. In addition, proof was found showing that at least 5 MPD officers, Davis, Dickey, Chatwell, Angel, and Hale, were under my home on the night that I was shot by somebody under my home. It's very possible that one of these cops is the would-be killer that shot me, and if not, they know who was. This huge amount of evidence makes it very clear that somebody under my home had shot me, but what can explain the x-rays showing a foot full of pellets when I was not shot with my shotgun, as was falsely stated by the police? Since they had ambushed me, I really didn't know what had happened at the time. I did know that burglar alarms were going off in my attic, so I was sure those criminals were behind it. The police were saying that I'd accidentally shot myself with my own shotgun and that I was crazy because I was reporting people in the attic. But there just wasn't enough physical room for me to be shot in my tiny utility room with this 4-foot-long shotgun. Lisa Rogers told me that I was shot with a .45 handgun, and there is enough physical room for this to happen. So how can pellets come from a handgun? I believe they purchased a special ammunition called the Glazer safety slug, which is a pellet-filled, plastic-tipped bullet to make it look like I had been shot with my shotgun. That was very profitable for them. This way, they could call my murder an accident and stop an investigation for capital murder, and that's what this is. It would also keep the underground home secret, which is extremely important to them. And then my ex-wife, that I'd filed divorce on 5 days earlier from a 3-month marriage, would get my special home, has $1 million ground home in the backyard, and an extra $500,000 in accidental death insurance. Her lifelong friend, Detective Rosie Rodriguez, is who ruled this failed murder an accident. You see how that works? With my cell phone stolen and my home phone lines cut, they planned for me to bleed out and die. This was cold-blooded, premeditated murder, but thanks to a miracle from God, their shot threaded the needle and missed my artery, thereby allowing me to crawl out and survive. Interestingly, I would also find on the surgeon's report where he stated that he removed a large amount of plastic from the wound. And as I said, a Glazer safety slug is a plastic-tipped, pellet-filled bullet. I'm going to show you proofs here in a minute. And as shown in the x-rays, the doctors at the hospital took the x-rays of another guy who is believed to have been shot with a shotgun in the same foot 11 days before me and then put my name on them. The ex-wife had told me in a few weeks, had told me a few weeks before the murder attempt that the secret is that a group of doctors are killing people for profit. After I survived, she come to my home upset and told me that her brother-in-law was a doctor. Was my ER doctor. I suspected that he was connected with the fake x-rays. It looks like these doctors had planned my murder, and most likely they are behind the 4 murders, deaths that Aaron Packelhofer told me happened at my home before they shot me. I'm going to show you some proofs here. And the first one, and this is what I started it with right here. This x-ray shows my foot 4 months before the murder attempt. You can see my heel bone, okay? And I hadn't been shot at that time. It just shows you how big my heel bone is. Has my name on it, has the date, and all that, okay? This x-ray right here, foot full of pellets, okay, it's dated on the night that I'm shot. A little hard to see because my camera's not focusing for some weird reason, and but it's dated on the night that I'm shot, and it shows, and you can see the heel bone is missing. Okay, see the heel bone? Heel bone's missing, and this is before I had surgery, and it sure wasn't shot off. I mean, I know that for a fact. I have proof on it, actually. Okay, now I'm going to go over to some of these other proofs, and there's a bunch of them, 25 of them, I think. And here, my second call for a burglary right here was over a year before they cut my phone lines and shot me, okay? And I'm going to show you here, complainant stated he's home alone, can't hear noises, he blocked the attic. Okay, he's a complainant is holding his 9mm and in a closet with a shotgun. I was scared to death, folks. Rightfully so. These are cold-blooded killers. And this officer right here, A. Corson, he's the one that was calling me crazy on this report. He said unfounded complainant is 1096 or crazy. They went ahead and promoted to Anthony Corson, to be head of the internal affairs. So you report a dirty cop like him, and then he's the one who investigates it. And he was there with Michael Chandler, and Michael Chandler was the husband of secret police April Chandler. Okay? God, so dirty. Unbelievably dirty. That was over a year before I'm shot, reporting people in my attic. I'm now documented more than 50 other homeowners reporting people in the attic since I was shot. This is the video here, and here. I ain't going to listen to all of it. See, 1096, they called her crazy. They call all the crime victims crazy, and they're not telling the public about all these other homeowners that are reporting people in the attic, okay? And I started hearing them on my police scanner and recording them, so they can't deny it. You know, all they can do is smear my name, destroy my life, and then keep breaking in homes, and that's what they've done. Many of these addresses I have. These came from crime victims telling me their stories, posted online, all the way from California to Alabama, more than a dozen in Midland, another dozen in Odessa. These are all in Midland. You can't read it because for whatever reason, this day my camera won't focus, you know. And so here we go. Mike Lahan, the young previous owner of my home, was telling his friends about people breaking this home before he died. At 27 years old, okay, and I'll show you this one. It's kind of hard, but I'm gonna show you anyway. It says, I was talking to guys good friends with Mike, the guy lived here before you did. He said that Mike would tell his friends he felt like people were in his house. He knew how people were in his house. This guy died right before I moved here. You know, and I believe they murdered him, took him to Fort Worth, sold the home to me, and then they moved on to getting ready to murder me. Mike died the week before the 2008 oil parties were going to start in his backyard in the underground home. They claim that he died in Fort Worth at his late mom's house, but based on the evidence that I found, I believe that he died at this house in Midland, and they took him to Fort Worth to cover it up. I was told he died here. Okay, and here's Tisha Wilkinson Brumley here. She's telling me, I had friends been involved in those oil shows. They're exactly what you say. They are underground homes. Jessica tells me she's been to lots of oil shows and more than one girl raped or murdered there. And I'm showing you here on old Google Maps where you could go look at my address, and in my backyard you didn't see anything, but you popped over to the map screen, you see a large bunker in the backyard. That's one of the underground homes. I notified the city of Midland. That got deleted, but I got the print screen on it. You know, so it doesn't really matter. But it's just showing that they're trying to cover up these crimes and murders. Multiple people are now documented saying that tunnels and underground homes are here with many details, and that includes Joe Lozano, who I secretly recorded telling me that the underground homes were the hideout for the late Sheriff Gary Painter. I had been contacted Painter. This is the video on it. Sheriff Painter's hideouts on my YouTube channel. You can listen to it. And you know, they later arrested Joe. And obviously because of that. And supporting evidence was found on old Google Maps showing that one of the 4 secret 3-bedroom underground homes said to be here is located in my backyard. Okay, and I'm going to show you here. You can see where they cut the ditch from the Home Depot store to my house, coming directly to my house. In the backyard's one of the underground homes where the oil show party's going. Remember, Mike was murdered the week before the oil show party started, you know, and then they tried to kill me, and I was told 4 people died here, you know. This is truly crazy. In addition, proof is found showing that at least 5 MPD officers, Davis, Dickey, Chatwell, Angel, and Hale, were under my home on the night that I was shot by somebody under my home. It's very possible that one of these cops is the would-be killer that shot me, and if not, they know who was. And I'm telling you, I've called their names out hundreds of times, probably 1,000 times. Not a single time one of them said, "Oh, that ain't true. I wasn't under your house." That's because they know, and I know, and evidence shows they were under my house, and it was somebody under my home shot me. Here, I'm just showing where Woodward and Naylor showed up at, 4 minutes before Dickey is listed as being inside my home, okay? But he wasn't seen arriving. So, either he is like Star Trek and he beamed himself into my home, or he came from the underground tunnels, and we know what happened, okay? The police report for the night of the murder attempt was illegally withheld from me for 7 years, and this is what timestamped those police inside my home, okay, coming from under my home. This was the proof that police were under my home on the night that I was shot by somebody under my home in a premeditated murder attempt. These are the timestamps on the police report. It's probably hard for you to see, and we know why, but Matt Davis was on scene or at my home at 11:03, wasn't seen. Tony Dickey inside my home 11:05, wasn't seen arriving. Woodward and Naylor were at 11:01, 4 minutes earlier. Greg Chatwell's on scene 11:18, not seen arriving. Kenny Angel on scene 11:18, not seen arriving. Dylan Hale on scene 11:19, not seen arriving on the security cameras. See, that's why they withheld the police report, illegally withheld it for 7 years. 7 years, folks, 7 years of unimaginable terror when police are involved in premeditated murder attempts of Christians that are reporting, Christian homeowners are reporting crimes to them. A former resident of my home, Ricky Ronaldo, told me that him and his brother used to go in the tunnels in his home when they lived here. Okay, I'm going to show you here. And that's where Ricky said that right there. When I was a kid, there were tunnels under the house. Me and my brother would always go down there. Where do you think the tunnel is? Right there between Home Depot and my home, right there. Do you think Home Depot might get sued, for multiple, being involved in multiple murders and putting a tunnel to victims' homes? If we could only get past this extreme police corruption. I wondered if there was payoffs, I mean, maybe they gave big donations to somebody to win for president or something. 11 police were caught on camera inside my home after the murder attempt. It took 6 years and a $2,000 reward to get them identified. This was the first time in the history of America that a crime victim offered a reward to identify police, and not a news story in the nation, no arrest. Took 6 years to get them identified. Rosie Rodriguez, April Chandler, Tony Dickey, Greg Chatwell, Greg Nelson, Marty Barrett, Chad Simpson, Mike Naylor, Mark Gilliam, Michael Glick, John Woodward. 2 of them are now dead, Naylor and Simpson, possibly murdered by the other ones. Maybe they were going to snitch on them. Okay, the police were saying that I had accidentally shot myself with my own shotgun, and that I was crazy because I was boarding people in the attic. There wasn't enough physical room for me to be shot in my tiny utility room with this 4-foot-long shotgun. And that's what I'm saying. I had a shotgun. I'm not saying I had a shotgun. I was under a home invasion, folks. People were breaking my room. I found proof later there was a criminal trapped in my bathroom here. I had been reporting over a year before. But see, there I am. That's a long shotgun. There's that tiny little room they're saying I was shot in right there. And I'm showing that's a 4-foot-long stick. I'm going, there wasn't enough room from where I was shot, to be shot with that gun. That's all there was to it, I mean, that's a fact. Lisa Rogers told me that I was shot with a .45 handgun, and there's enough physical room for this to happen. So how can pellets come from a handgun? Now, let me show you. Here's Lisa's right here. You're not disabled with a .45, right? She's being rude, hateful. But what you want to know, how does Lisa know I was shot with a .45? I wonder if her sons were here, actually. That's why I wondered. But we have no law enforcement. They're just killing people. I mean, there's nothing, I don't know what you do. Actually, reporting crimes could get you murdered. Here in Midland, it can. I believe they purchased a special ammunition called the Glazer Safety Slug, which is a pellet-filled plastic-tipped bullet to make it look like or appear I had been shot with my shotgun. As I said, that way they could cover up this capital murder. It wasn't going to be an investigation. And it added $500,000, and there was a whole bunch of reasons why. And here I'm showing just some of the proofs. The size of pellets removed from my foot were 2.5 sizes difference in the size of pellets that were in my gun. Okay? Boom. There we go. It's over. Ballistic evidence proves I wasn't shot my gun. And makes it a capital murder attempt. Arrest them with police, right? Okay, and I'm showing the Glazer Safety Slug. It's a plastic-tipped pellet-filled bullet. Okay, that's really important right there, because how can you get pellets in your bullet from a .45 handgun, buddy? Using a Glazer Safety Slug, right? And that wasn't an accident, folks. That was on purpose, man. And then my ex-wife that had filed divorce on 5 days earlier would get my special home and $500,000 extra in accidental death insurance. Her lifelong friend, Detective Rosie Rodriguez, who is the one who ruled this failed murder an accident. Okay, I'm going to show you here. These are the benefit books the ex-wife had taken right before I left, and they showed accidental death at 2 times annual pay plus supplemental extra $250,000. So there was an additional $500,000 if her friend Rosie Rodriguez that she went to grade school with would rule my murder an accident. And that's exactly what was going to happen, folks. No doubt about that, right? Can we all agree to that? That's what I believe. Arthur Welch, the former boyfriend of the ex-wife, who has been saying for years that he overheard her planning my murder with her police friends to steal life insurance. He also said she threatened to have him killed too. They're probably calling him crazy too. He's lucky he hadn't been arrested, you know. It says, I was dating this guy. I posted this on Facebook in 2020. I was dating this guy's ex-wife when I overheard her talking. For the things I heard, she had tried to have him killed for insurance money. Talking about me. And to hear how many police were involved. One, her longtime personal friend. Remember, Rosie Rodriguez she went to grade school with. That was her longtime personal friend. Okay. Let's move on. With my cell phone stolen and my home phone lines cut, they planned for me to bleed out and die. They were calling it an accident. This was cold-blooded, premeditated murder, but thanks to a miracle from God, their shot threaded the needle and missed my artery, thereby allowing me to crawl out and survive. This picture was caught on my security cameras in my home. They tried to disable the camera, didn't know it was running, and what I believe it shows is April Chandler right here. Rosie Rodriguez leaned over my nightstand, and that's where my stolen cell phone was planted. The smoking gun, you want to say, was found on the police report up here where Detective Rosie Rodriguez writes, "Buddy said his phone was not charged, so he went outside and screamed for help." But I hadn't said that. It wasn't true. I had a fully charged cordless phone in my pocket, and the only reason I had that is because my cell phone had been stolen, and I believe she was planting my cell phone at the time. And what it looks like based on timestamps is April and Rosie waited for the other police to leave my room, and then they planted that cell phone behind that nightstand. It was to cover up this premeditated murder attempt. Interestingly, I would also find on the surgeon's report where he stated that he removed a large amount of plastic from the wound. As I said, a Glazer Safety Slug is a plastic-tipped, pellet-filled bullet. Remember that? And I'm going to show you here. This is on the surgeon's report. And the surgeon wrote there was a large amount of plastic and lead pellet debris. Well, if I was shot with my shotgun, there wouldn't be a large amount of plastic. Some people just come back trying to cover up these murders, or, oh yeah, well that would be from the wadding in the shotgun shell. But the ER doctor, my brother-in-law, that I didn't know at the time, says he removed the plastic wad from the emergency room before surgery. Okay, so that bullshit excuse doesn't work, does it? I mean, that's all it is one bullshit excuse after another to cover up a premeditated murder attempt that was for profit. As shown in the x-rays, the doctors at the hospital took the x-rays of another guy who's believed to have been shot with a shotgun in the same foot 11 days before me, and then put my name on him. I showed you that faked x-ray, okay? Now here, I'm going to show you what I found here on this a radiological report from Dr. Hinton, Thomas Hinton, on April 12, 2012, and he said a gunshot wound injury 11712. He said he compared one set of x-rays from taken on 11712 to others taken on 11912, and I had been shot 11 days later on 12812. So how could he do that? And we know it wasn't a typo because it was two different dates. So Dr. Hinton, who I think actually shared an office with the ER doctor, my brother-in-law, looks like he's faked the x-rays. That's what it looks like to me. Okay. Let's keep going. Okay. The ex-wife had told me a few weeks before the murder attempt that the secret is that a group of doctors are killing people for profit. She didn't say they're killing Buddy for profit. She said people. That's you, your wife, your children, anybody they make money off of. After I survived, she came to my home upset and told me that her brother-in-law was my ER doctor. I suspected that he was connected with faked x-rays, and I believe he knows about it. I testified under oath in court to this. She said the secret is a group of doctors kill people for profit. And well, what she never told me the entire time we was married was that her brother-in-law was a doctor. I will say that she's the one that told me that after the fact. She is the one that told me. In fact, she was upset come by the house after I shot, and so I wondered, they planned this murder and they didn't tell her about it. She was pissed. It looks like these doctors had planned my murder, most likely behind the 4 murder deaths that Aaron Packover told me happened at my home before they shot me. He's a local businessman here, and on Facebook he tells me, he says, I'm well aware of the many corruption accusations against the Midland police. And he says, I'm not sure it was secret police. Can I ask, he tells me, there were 4 people who were murdered, died in your house. What are their names? I didn't know, but obviously he didn't know. Well, after I made that public, and that's big news, right? He's saying 4 people murdered here before they tried to murder me. The city of Midland grants him his company, Eccentric Brewing. He owns this brewing company, $72,000. And I'm guessing that's taxpayers' money. The question's been asked if taxpayers' money was given to cover up capital murders by the city of Midland. Okay, by the MDC, the Midland Development Corp. And that's how he got his start in business. I asked him if he reported this as required by law, and he never answered me. I wonder if that was part of the conditions of him getting the money. Texas Ranger Jeffrey Strain, who is from Midland, was assigned my case after I'd been advised by Texas Attorney General Greg Paxton's office to contact the PIU, or Public Integrity Unit. And he wasn't with the PIU. I think they pulled a fast one. But I'm showing here Strain, and this was in 2017. Okay, I wrote him an email, and I said, I believe the biggest crime is what I was told concerning the doctors. She told me that a group of doctors killing people for profit. And it says, how would doctors kill people for profit? And and I said, well, there's $1 million in the ground home in the backyard, obviously. But I'm like, I don't know. Why don't you ask her? Remember, I reminded him, one, that you're the cop, dude. You're the cop. You're the one supposed to investigate. But I sent you a video where she was, admitted to trying to extort $1,800 a month over me over the crimes at my house. Obviously, she knows information. He didn't do anything. I think Jeffrey Strain, I wondered if he wasn't, promoted or paid or, got rewarded to cover up these crimes and murders. I said I was later told that Jeffrey Strain, Ranger Strain, was personal friends with secret police April Chandler. Remember, I believe she was planting my cell phone. She was one of the secret police that had falsified police reports and tampered with evidence in this home invasion and premeditated murder attempt. And here this person writes me, says, I went to school and graduated with Jeff Strain. I know for a fact he's personal friends with MPD officers April Chandler and Todd Stanley. just so you know, sir, I highly doubt him not helping to cover up things his friends were involved in. They've been friends since junior high school. And so, there's a lot of people like, oh yeah, police can't make a mistake or they can't commit crimes, but they have. We know that. They've done hundreds of times. Here they are. They're busted as busted can be. And the only way they can keep doing this is by the press hiding it from the public and the police not doing anything about it. Law enforcement. We're not just talking the police, the Texas Rangers, the FBI, then they're killing people and then maiming and mutilating the survivors. That's what's going on in Midland, Texas, people. This buddy, talk to you later. Bye.